Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build the career and life you desire.
Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Artistry. And today we have an amazing guest who I had the pleasure of meeting in person because now I'm living LA life. Hello. And so welcome, Gina Su. Let me tell you a little bit about Gina. Gina is a film actress, producer, founder of Pretty Magic Productions, which strives to make films with impact while prioritizing the hiring and storytelling for a female POC perspective. She is known for her Autopilot, the sci-fi film in which she starred and co-produced. It screened at the prestigious Fantasia Film Festival alongside, a film produced by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Wow. And currently, Autopilot is being turned into a feature film, Troubadour, the latest news covered by Deadline. Okay. Dream to be on a Deadline Deadline article. Cool. And Gina has also been featured on ABC 7 News and various Apple and Spotify podcasts and Comic-Con. And she also does numerous voiceovers that you will eventually get to know. So let's jump in. Gina, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And yeah, let's just jump right into this. First of all, I didn't mention that you also are a part of the life coaching world on top of being an actor and all the beautiful things. So mindset and mental health is very, very important to you. So tell me a bit about how you started that journey and what it flourished into today.
Gosh, life coaching is incredible. I always recommend it to everyone because it's literally changed my life. But I got a life coach for myself when I was out of college, figuring out my life. What job should I take? Where should I live? What should I do with myself? And talking about your emotions, your purpose, the goals you want to set. It sounds very textbook self-helpy. But when I went through those steps, I just found myself, and it was one of the most rewarding and very oh wow, adulthood is happening. And then I'm always looking for purpose with any of the work that I do. And at the time I worked in corporate and tech in the Bay Area. And I'm like, I want to make as much impact as my life coach made for me. And so I want to do what she does. And so I did the same certification program as she did, and then got a bunch of clients and then started a life coaching business, one-on-one coaching, group coaching. And as you both know, since you're both coaches, it's so rewarding for the people you help, but also in return for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I love life coaching. I think any person who is seeking to have impact in anything they do, life coaching is worth the path taken because it, not only, like you said, is rewarding for the people you help, but it's also rewarding for you as a coach to see people flourish and know that what you're doing is impactful and it matters. And we need people like you and myself and Janelle to help those that sometimes don't know how to help themselves. I've had a coach myself, and a lot of things that I had to uncover about myself, from self-sabotaging to people pleasing to just doubting my worth. And I was like, yeah, I'm great. I'm confident. In reality, I was confident, but not true confidence. I was kind of faking it until I made it, which is fine until it's not. And so, right, exactly. And so I love that you have taken that path and really shared your journey, especially coming from the corporate world myself.
Yep.
Oh, the struggle of that. Now, how did this all tie? Were you always an actor, or is this something that kind of came along as you were life coaching, or was it before?
So I was always a dancer.
Yeah.
Dancer for life until I got injured, and I was like, well, performing's just not in the cards for me. And also then having Asian parents who are like, you don't make money doing anything in the art world. It just never occurred to me to pursue anything in the performing world again as an adult until I started coaching clients. And a lot of what I do is helping people find what they're passionate about and leaning towards that for their career. And I'm like, I think I should be walking the talk and doing the thing I actually want to do, which is be performing again. So it really was the process of coaching, becoming a coach, and coaching clients. And I was like, I got to listen to myself as well. And then started doing commercial acting in San Francisco, did really, really well. I was booking once every 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm ready for LA. And then moved to LA right before COVID happened. But it was awesome.
What type of dancing did you do?
I did jazz, I did hip hop, contemporary, lyrical. I don't mention ballet because I had to do ballet to compete in jazz, and I just, forcing me to do it didn't make me love it as much, but I did almost all the other ones.
That's so cool. And I mean, I did Irish dancing, which is so funny.
Yeah.
It's such a specific thing, but it definitely helped me to carry that discipline and and I know Amanda has feelings about the words of discipline, but just the idea
Oh,
of constantly working on the fundamental. It's a positive thing. Don't worry. She's just so like good with words, and words are powerful. So how you use them and your intention and whatnot. But my question around that, well, you brought up something interesting about the coaching. It makes us feel good, but also I love that you said it pushed you to focus more on yourself and your dreams too. And
mhm.
Amanda and I both say that because I'll feel like some type of hypocrite maybe. Like they inspire me because they'll I'm like, go, go, go. And then they succeed. And I'm like, well, shit, I've got to get my together, and then it's really a beautiful cycle. But what I do find when I'm coaching people is a lot of them are afraid, how can I balance coaching and, let's say, dancing and producing and acting and all of this stuff? And Amanda and I have found our way into it, but how do you find that balance, because it's a lot?
Talk with my coach about this all the time, actually. I think because our job as actors and entertainers in this specific entertainment industry fluctuates so much that we have to get good at reprioritizing all the time. I mean, I loved school. I was a very structured person. So having a schedule is amazing for me. But as an actor, you can't have a schedule and every day is different. So I had to get good at, I'm a stickler with my Google Calendar to be like, this is how much time I'll do for my side hustle job. This is how much time I'll do for producing, for writing my next film, etc. But then if two auditions come in, I have to be flexible to move some items to tomorrow. Or if no auditions come in, I can't be bummed about it because I've like primed myself to know that it is kind of a turbulent, very entrepreneurial endeavor to be an actor, and just to get used to those constant changes. And I also just remind myself, my husband still works in the corporate world, that like, this is so much more fun than that. Like, I rather deal with changing schedules and having to wake up early on some days and not on others than just like work the same kind of mundane computer work. So being grateful about it is also very helpful.
I think you nailed something really, really important about that. Being an artist is the concept of gratitude. Because there's so much happening in the world, the uncertainty, especially as an actor and even an artist and any creative world that you're in an industry, there is such heavy uncertainty. There's unexpected challenges, there's unexpected things like strikes and cancellations and all the things we put our heart and soul and sweat into the projects that we do, and the next thing you know, it goes nowhere, it gets shelved, and you're like, wow, all right, there, okay, great. So how can you utilize gratitude to help you in those moments that are challenging or unexpected, from what you've experienced in yourself and from what you've helped others navigate that in their career?
Oh my gosh, gratitude is the best thing in the world. It sounds so cheesy, but it was life changing. Like, I love gratitude. My husband and I do this thing every single night before we go to bed. We ask each other three things, well, five things in total. But the first two is, what are you proud of that you did today? What are you excited for tomorrow? And then three things that you're grateful for. Don't have insomnia. I've never had it. I'm very lucky to say that. But I think when your brain is in a state of gratitude, you can't think about anything else. It's more of like, I get to be here. I get to have this experience rather than, oh, all this terrible stuff is happening to me. And so when I'm grateful, it helps me be creative. It helps me deal with the turbulence of our industry. It helps me feel good, which is really important as an actor sometimes because we have to use our whole body and psyche to act all the time. So I've literally, that's one thing. If anyone wants to better their lives, like, pick up a gratitude practice. You could speak it outwardly to someone, you could write it down, you could say it to yourself in your mind, like, and I think I've done it for like 9 years with him. And like my life, it was like you, I don't know, I just felt the shift of having a gratitude practice.
Yeah, that's incredible. I had to learn that myself, like gratitude, especially being dropped from my representation and then quitting my job and going, I'm going to pursue acting and this is it. And then getting that notice like, oh, so your agent is deciding to leave the industry. Oh, okay, so no one else is going to pick me up? No, our roster is full. I'm like, and all the things that can come up in your head of like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not a great actor, so that they don't want me. Oh, I haven't booked in a long time, so they think I'm not good. Like all the things that can possibly come up did come up in that moment. And what I recognized is I had to be grateful that I was in that position in the beginning. Like because I had the opportunity to leave my job and still pursue acting, that means that the door was still open. That means that maybe this door particularly needed to close. Like I no longer need to be in that agency and that's okay. Maybe it was time for me to level up. So I really chosen that moment to be grateful that I had come to this, nail in the fork or however it is, because it made me pause and it made me, one, be grateful for how far I've come, two, reevaluate what I need to do to change or what I need to do to get to the next level, what I need to do to just shift and go, okay, all right, I did that. What's next for me? And so I love that you brought in gratitude because I know for a fact that it has changed my life. And even this morning, I was doing the gratitude and I felt so much lighter. My body naturally dropped into its true, authentic joy. And I stopped worrying because we all have worries. We all have resistance. We all have the things.
Yeah.
No one has a perfect life. And if you think that, it's bullshit. It is
Yeah.
absolute bullshit. People put on internet what they want and they're saying their life is great and it's, listen, it may be, but that doesn't mean they don't have their hiccups. And so I love that on top of gratitude, we talked about mindset. You talked about how important that is within being an artist and creatives. Can you talk a little bit more about what are like three things that's really important about mindset that people should keep in the forefront of their thoughts? Yeah.
Okay. So there's so many things about mindset that are important. I think one is knowing yourself, because a lot of people ask sometimes, like, what do you want out of life? Like, what is success to you? And it's truly different for everyone. For me, it used to be like making $1 million. That's what success is. As a kid, you're like, that's, on the cover of Forbes or whatever. But maybe success is having a great relationship, a healthy body, and the ability to pursue your creative dreams. That's different from like winning the Oscars, but you can also have that as well. So I think if you kind of know where your boundaries are and what structure and world you want to live within, then it's easier for you to keep track of that and using your kind of your self-development and your constant self-talk. That is what I think mindset is like the way we always talk to ourselves, that we're like, oh wait, I'm comparing myself to someone who has a different definition of success than me, or I'm kind of worried because I'm not as far as they are, but wait, my story and my structure is here, so let me just like stay within those boundaries. And I mean, we all know that the happier, the healthier, more joyful you are, the better life is in general. And so why not use knowing yourself better to keep yourself in a good state? Speaking of state, I think the second thing is how to change your state quickly. Are you guys fans of Tony Robbins? Do you know his work? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is like the one that put life coaching on the map, at least, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Right.
So for people who don't know about changing your state, it's literally about your physiology and being able to change how you feel quickly. And he does this like snap, like in a moment's notice. And so when someone's like sad or depressed, they're like hunched over, their heads down, they talk slow. There's just this like heavy feeling of like not knowing what's happening next, versus you can get yourself out of that by, also again sounds cheesy, but like posturing up, smiling, doing 10 burpees, feeling like you've got all the energy in the world, that you can make stuff happen. And I always describe it to people like, a kid who's having a tantrum, they're like mad about something and their mom says, no, you can't have the candy or whatever, but they just like hold on to that tantrumy state, like they forgot about the candy, whatever, but they are kind of like holding on to that state. which is super unnecessary and a giant waste of time. But when you're a kid, you don't know how to regulate that. Tony Robbins and his work taught me as an adult, you could just be like, okay, screw the candy. Mom was mean. Let's do something fun now. And then, like, how much more good moments can you have in life if you know how to change your state quickly? So I think that would be my second thing. Third thing about mindset, I'm a huge fan of journaling, because when we talk to ourselves, a lot of the times it's kind of mean, and most people wouldn't talk to themselves the way they would talk to a friend or a loved one. But when you start writing it down and you can read it back, or you can like see pen to paper what you're saying to yourself, you can really reflect and like adjust what that is. So yeah, those are my three that I pulled out of my old life coaching hat.
Oh my gosh, those are so amazing. I love it, especially changing the state, because the beauty of that, and that's something that I've struggled with for a long time, and a lot of people do, and there's many reasons why that can be hard to make that shift. But the cool thing is you can say, let's really try to do a burpee or jump up and pump our arms. And then you can use that journal later to be like, all right, cool. So I got myself out of the state so I could get along with my day, but then taking that moment with the journal and being like, why, what happened there? Like, why was I so sad? And so I think that's a beautiful balance that I love to see. Because Amanda always knows I say, I hate bumper stickers. I hate these like one-liner things that are like, just make the switch. And so I think what Amanda's really good at teaching is like working through like the limiting belief that comes up. And so it's been fun to see with our clients, like finding that balance, kind of what you described. So that's cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because those are three things I love to incorporate in my coaching and really try to get people to listen to on social media. I feel like, a lot of times that we're not saying it just to say it. Let's be honest. Everything that we're doing as life coaches, it feels like, no, we're saying it for a reason. Please listen, please. But I get it. Sometimes we're not ready to listen. Sometimes we're not capable to be able to absorb that in that moment because we're so caught up in, maybe that negative talk, those intrusive thoughts, maybe that energy of that rejection as an actor, that rejection of being told no over and over and over and over again. It's like, well, damn, am I not good enough to get a yes? Am I not good enough to like be saying, yeah, you got the job? And so I really make it a priority to talk about those three things. So I love that you hit that very clearly. As an actor and a life coach, I know, and I kind of want to pivot just a little bit so people can really dive into your background and get to know you a lot more. Tell me a bit about how you've balanced the ideas of your creativity. And as artists and as creatives, we always have a multitude of ideas, but we can get overwhelmed and then we feel like we can't do one thing because it takes away from the other. So, what would be your advice and things that you've learned as you approached different skill sets and different passions as an artist?
I did not write this feature film. I'm writing other things of my own, but Jennifer Zhang is our writer and director, so I need to give her full credit for that. And then also, I used to be a coach. I'm now no longer a coach. I'm now fully an actor and a producer. And how do I balance it? Again, it's the same shifting priorities all day long, every minute of the day. For example, I was going to do something else in between this and then filming later, but then I got an audition in and I was like, okay, maybe I'll like rearrange. But as far as being a creative, I remember as a kid, I loved art. I loved dancing. I love making up stories and like doing a little play randomly for whoever would listen. And I just thought that was just like Gina being a child. This is what kids do. And then as I grew older and older, and I still love dance and I still love art and I still love entertaining, I'm just like, shoot, I'm an artist and I need to like accept that this is a huge part of me, that it makes me happy. And the moment that I kind of reclaim that word that I'm an artist and like say that about myself to my parents, to my extended family, it really helped shift their perception of me and my own perception of me, that creativity matters in my life and I won't be as happy without it. And so, some art forms don't make money as quickly as others do, but that's still a part of me that I don't want to neglect. And so, other people compromise with whatever types of jobs they have. I feel like as artists, that's kind of sometimes our biggest compromise, that art and business don't always move in parallel as easy as maybe a corporate job would. Accepting that trade-off is what I want. This is so random, but there's a lyric in a Hawaiian song that I love, and I'm totally going to butcher it. But he says, it's like, if we all put our problems in a bag, which one would you grab? Would you take someone else's or take home the one you had? And I was like, that's kind of our life as an artist. Like, do I want this, a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty, but I get to create and play? Or would I take home someone else's, has a mortgage to pay, kids to whatever, work at a desk job? Like, it's always greener on the other side. So it's helpful to just like pick your own and be okay with it.
Well, that just gave me darn chills. I was like, ooh, I felt that. I hope that resonates with whoever listened to that, because that made me think how important it is as artists to feed our world, right? We're so important. I think that it gets kind of overshadowed because people are like, oh, about the money and the business and all these roles that we need to be playing. But artists have paved the way for expression, for evolution. I want people to know that, claim that. I love that you said, I claim that you're an artist, claim that you're an actor. It took me a long time to claim that I'm an actor, because I was battling between being in the corporate world and then being told, oh, that's a cute hobby. And I got to the point where it felt so uncomfortable to say that I'm an actor, because I would quiver and going, well, I guess I'm going to be judged here. I'm going to be judged on my corporate job because I need to focus on my corporate job. And this is it. This is where it's supposed to be. And creativity is not where the money comes from. Very similar to you. And so it took me a long time to claim that I'm an actor. And it made me think about, as you were saying that, the song, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother. And it made me think of that because I claimed that. And it's like, regardless of what people's opinions of you, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what do you claim? What do you claim to be? And I love that you mentioned that. And a lot of people, I think, struggle with the idea of like, so tell me about yourself, especially as artists. Like, tell me about yourself. What do you do? What do you like? What do you want? Like that kind of, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Well, outside of acting, especially in the audition room. So tell me about yourself. Oh, well, I'm an actor. Well, yeah, that's a given. I'm an actor. Like there's the hesitation of how do I come up with the right answer of who am I? And so that was a big path for me that I explored. And I love that I, like, just like you, claim that I'm an artist. So for those struggling, claim what you want and claim who you are, because it will make the biggest difference, especially around your environment and your world and how you show up. When you started claiming that you're an artist, how did that shift not only your mindset, but your habits when it came to acting and now doing all the beautiful things and hats that you have on in this industry?
Also, just like being okay with how long that this might take. Before it was like, audition. Am I going to hear back? Hello, agent or manager. Did I get it? When am I going to walk a red carpet? And that, like, you realize all that stuff doesn't matter, because the joy of trying to get it, the joy of taking on the character for the audition, and then if you do book, the joy of making that film and bringing that character to life. Like, sometimes the long, grueling work makes the result even more enjoyable. So maybe for people who are struggling right now, if it is taking really long, maybe the fruits of your labor are really huge in the end, and you've got that to look forward to. But my habit of also just like doing it for me. I remember when I made my very first dramedy short film, I was like, it's artsy, it's drama, it's about the Asian American experience. My parents are gonna love it and be like, wow, Gina did something of herself as an actor. I literally played it for them in the living room at their house, and then it ended and the credits started scrolling. They're like, wow, honey, that's great. What should we have for dinner? And there was like a half second where my stomach dropped, and then the other half of the second and into the rest of the rest of my life, I'm like, why do I even care whether or not this moment was epic for them? Because it was epic for me. And like, I was such a big shift, because I was like, I still want to make movies. I still thought that was super cool. I came up with the idea. It happened. Does it resonate with them or not? I don't know, does it matter? No, not really. And so the habit of just doing things for yourself, being okay with the long journey, being okay with the hardship that comes with it, and the hope that something good will come out in the end, really helps, because as you both know, there's a ton of rejection and hardship in this career choice that we've made. So being able to handle it is a skill.
I love all of that. And what advice would you have for people? Because essentially what you're speaking about is not needing that external validation, because you're validating yourself because you're so aligned with who you are and what you're doing. And so you don't need people to tell you about yourself, because you're like, this is what I'm doing and it brings me joy. And then in turn, you're reaching the right people. But, our reptilian brain,
Yeah.
the pack animals that we are, even if you're like, I'm a loner, we have this mentality where, like, if I'm not accepted, and it actually feels like a little dangerous. So were there ever moments that come up where you're like, people aren't getting me, or people don't understand, and then maybe it kicks up a little herd mentality? What advice do you have for people? Because I agree with everything you're saying, and I know me, and I think Amanda too, like, that was a shift for me. I remember saying, like, I don't care if you like my audition. And that's when I started booking. And I did it well. I did the scene and all of the, I care about the craft, but then it was like, then I brought Janelle to it. But that's very scary. So I'd love any advice you have for people listening, just to work through that reptilian brain situation.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm totally gonna steal that. I love it so much. I don't care if you like my audition. That's so amazing. Wow. I would say work with a coach. That's number one. But if you don't currently have a coach, is spend a lot of time. There's a million ways to do this, but I think the quickest, easiest way is figure out your 3 value words and do a whole long journaling exercise about like what you want out of life. For example, when I did this, I came up with inspire, create, entertain, and I remind myself ICE is the acronym to remind myself how it goes. And when I figured that out, everything I did kind of revolved around that. And it was always acting and filmmaking. Inspire, create, entertain. You can see how those 3 like check those boxes. When the strike happened, we're on our 3rd one now, or almost the 4th with the video game happening. There was nothing to work on, not a lot of things to audition for. And I literally felt like empty, sad, anxious, didn't know what to do with my life, wondering if I should pivot. And kind of naturally, I found my way to ceramics as kind of my side thing that I picked up. And it wasn't until I talked to my coach lately that I fill out this form for her every time. And I have to write down my values every time to like remind myself. And without acting, I realized that ceramics fulfilled those 3 things. I was inspiring people because I was finding something else to do outside of acting and being okay with it. Creating, I was like literally creating stuff with my hands. It wasn't films, it was like actual sculptures. And then entertaining, I was like posting about my newfound ceramics journey. And I realized that I found joy and happiness when nothing was happening in the acting world, because I still checked those 3 boxes. And no one else could have told me, hey, Gina, pick up an art form and you'll feel better. I wouldn't have known. But because I had that in place, knowing what my values are, knowing that those things bring me back to joy every time, I think now in the future, if we have another strike or another COVID, hopefully we don't have any of those, that I'll use that same framework to find myself. And also just to tell people, we all have ups and downs. It hurts a lot of the time. It feels lonely a lot of the times. You feel like the question I ask all the time is like, what am I doing with my life? But that question comes up all the time, for me at least. And then you just find your way back. So it's also just normal and human. But I would say 3 value words really, really helps.
That is so powerful. I'm like, wait a minute, what is mine? I gotta think about that. I'm like, wait a minute, I think I am ice too, right? I love that you shared that, right? That is so, it brings everything to a whole, like, right? And really just solidifies what we want to do. And that's a great thing. Anything that you're doing, ask yourself, what do you want to do? And how are you showing up to what you want to do? And I love that. So I mean, you're just incredible because you also do stunt work and, voiceover, and you're just such a diverse artist. And I love that you've encompassed all these amazing things from working with on Netflix and Disney Plus shows, from like Hometown Cha Cha Cha, which I love because I had to do that. I had to do the cha cha cha. And I want to talk about your Pretty Magic production, because I know it's really targeted towards women of color and POC and that perspective and telling those stories. So tell me, a bit about that, how it came up, and what you want people to know about that production company and how much it matters, and how much it matters to be telling these stories.
Well, the logistic side of it is start a production company and an LLC to make Autopilot, which is a sci-fi short film that has been doing the circuits and doing really well. So that was a practical need for that. And then in the process of making Autopilot, a lot of us, me and my producing partner, Jennifer Zhang, hired a lot of our closest friends and people we thought were kick ass and did a really good job. And a lot of those people happen to be women or women of color, or just diverse people part of the LGBTQ community. And when we were on that set, we looked around and we're like, this is one of the most smooth sailing, egoless, comfortable, and supportive sets that I've ever been on. And it was so cool to be like, made this happen together. Like Jennifer and I, and then spreading our networks out and bringing people together made that communal filmmaking space happen. And then from then forward, I was like, Pretty Magic Productions will always try to prioritize these kinds of people with these kinds of attitudes. And as we know, like, we're always trying to champion diversity, but there are amazing results out of championing diversity. So I just decided to make that the forefront of Pretty Magic Productions moving forward.
As we again start to wrap this up, Autopilot is now being created into a feature film. What was that process like? Because I know you were brought on as a producer, and then you are the lead in that as well. Am I correct to say that?
So it is an ensemble.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider myself the lead. We have a lead actor who we have signed contracts with, but I can't yet say who it is, who will be the lead. Yeah, I was a producer on Autopilot, which is the sci-fi film. And then Jennifer had the amazing idea of making an anthology feature because that sci-fi short film did so well. And so she wrote this amazing script and she'll be directing that feature. I'll be one of the characters on the ensemble cast, and it's about AI and technology and young people and their connection to technology and how technology can help or hurt the way we perceive each other. So it's very timely, and I'm excited to make it.
Yay, that's so exciting. I love it. And I really want to end on something really fun, because you're a vegan like me, but you also do all the amazing things like travel the world and all, and being multifaceted, talented. Saw that you do some fire spinning. Wait a minute. I know you do dancing and you do MMA, and that's a whole other thing, because that is some kick ass. First of all, you're a kick ass. You're just kick ass. Fire spinning? Tell me, just circle on that just a little bit, because that's pretty freaking cool.
So I lived in Hawaii for a year during COVID, best year of my life. And I know it's super privileged of me to say that. But we met some people who taught us how to spin fire. The traditional Hawaiian spinning style is like a Hawaiian fire knife, which, if you ever went to one of those touristy hula performances, that's what you saw them do. There's a group of people who do flow arts, which is different types of tools that you add Kevlar at the end and then you light and you play with fire with your different tools. People have done wands and poi. My husband does sword and staff. And so I feel like I'm like a baby fire spinner. I do this thing that has like palm torches, little fire flames on your hands so you can dance with them. I did a little bit of staff, which is like a long stick with two fire balls, I guess, on the end that you spin with. And I gotta say, for people who know about the concept of flow and being in flow, fire spinning will put you in flow like no other, because you're like, oh my gosh, I could light my hair on fire. The intensity of, your safety, but always moving, because if you don't move, then it's hot and it burns you. So fire spinning is great for getting yourself in the flow.
That is so cool. I would probably not do that for the moment, just because if I put my hair out, I would be lit on fire for sure, just a little, and then I'd be that person that's burnt to crisp in my hair. I love Gina. I adore you so much. You've done such incredible work. I think what you're doing is so incredible, and the fact that you're really have this vision for your legacy of, you know, love and kindness and, you know, cultural change. And I think you've done that on a multitude of things. And the fact that I could relate to you as far as like coming from the corporate world and really nurturing that creativity and going, okay, I'm going to be, even as Janelle does, like, I'm going to, what's your thing about fear? Because I don't want to butcher it. So what's your thing about fear? Like, you, even though you're fearless, you still do it. You did the National Geo
Oh my
host.
gosh, the Travel Channel show.
The Travel Channel,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I had a Travel Channel show, and I was like the fearless travel, and I was like, I'm just gonna. Well, the fear comes, and everybody feels fear, but you feel it fear, and you do it anyway. I was like, I was really cute. I was like 24 years old.
I love
Yeah.
that. But I think you've transitioned that into everything you do. So, and honestly, Gina, that's what you've done. You've fearless, you know, you've taken fear by the hand and you said, I'm still going to do it anyway. And you've literally cultivated a path that was uniquely yours. And the fact that you did that, you created this production company. You've, you know, done the autopilot now that's becoming a feature. You're doing your own projects, and you've taken what you've learned as far as life coaching and all those things, and you've really inspired people. And I thank you so much for doing that. And you know, you are also a woman after my own heart because you love rom-com, and I love
Yes.
rom-com. We need more of it to lighten up the world.
The best genre.
It is the best genre. I really, really am like, I need to see more. Are you going to be doing a bit of rom-com content?
Writing one, I'm trying to figure it out. Apparently it's really hard, and I'm finding that it is hard. So when I figure it out, there shall be one in the future.
What about the horror, Amanda? You also love the horror.
I do love a good horror or sci-fi, and that's your world too, right, Gina? Like, you love sci-fi.
Oh.
I love, yeah.
Maybe I can tell you about this another time, but there's a horror film that came to mind that's kind of related to our life being vegans, and I keep toying with this idea, but I'll share it with you some other time.
All right, that's going to be offline, everybody, because maybe it'll be in the movies for you to see. Yes, but I love a good horror. I love sci-fi, and I love that we have this ability. And to all those that are listening, my thing is, be creative, do it your way, and you know that you're not alone in this creative world. And myself and Janelle and Gina, if you're ever looking for someone, we're here. This is what we've done. This is what we're doing. And you have a community that is lasting and that cares and that wants to see you shine and grow and know that it is possible. Any last words, Gina, and how can they find you and stay connected?
I'll just mirror exactly what you said to everyone listening. Like, it's like what Janelle said, if it's fearful and you keep going, that's what you can pat yourself on the back for. It's going to be scary. It might be sad and intense, but then you did it, and that is so dope. So just remember that experience, you know? And people can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram at Miss Gina Su, MissGinaSu. If they want to follow my ceramics, I'm at Gina Su Ramics, my first and last name, and then Ramics. And yeah, and I'm the same. If anyone wants to reach out, or if they're going through a tough time, or they're confused as how to navigate the entertainment industry, DM me. I will respond and chat about it, because we also community. We need this. This podcast is incredible. I literally found you guys because I'm like, I love talking about my films and myself as an actor, but more importantly is like the mindset behind it, the hardships behind it, all the habits you have to break down and recreate to do this work. Like, that's the work, and nobody's talking about it. And you guys literally made a podcast with that in the title. So thank you for making this amazing content and making people feel seen as artists.
Well, that's going to make me cry a little bit. Thank you, Gina. You know, it came from true. And now I'll let you close this out. Yeah, that's just like you said, inspire, create, and, you know, entertain is what this really is. And because I felt like I didn't have a community, I wanted to create it. And as many times Janelle knows how I wanted to give up so many.
I know. I was about to say, Amanda, Did you just hear what Gina said?
I know, because I'd be on the verge of like, I'm done with this shit. This is ridiculous. It's not getting to the people that it needs to. I'm so over it. Like, people, listen to what we're saying. We're not saying it just to say it. We're saying it for you because I've been through it. And then I'm like, Amanda, chill. You're doing what you said you wanted to do.
Gina sees it. Gina knows.
Oh, seriously. I found you guys. So, yeah, it's
So
incredible the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
It's hard because you feel like you're saying into an abyss and you're like, but really, you just like, come on, everybody.
No, and
Please.
what
The dream.
yeah, and thank you for like being so open and vulnerable about talking about it now for people to hear too, because you think like, oh, these people are running the podcast, but that's also hard. That's also a creative and business endeavor. You're putting yourself, your name, your face out there. And then you're like, it's like when we send an audition, I'm like, I think it went into a black hole. Like, what? I don't know.
Janelle and I were just talking about the fact that we had to grapple with the idea of being seen.
Yes.
That is very big as artists, right? We think that we want to be seen, but then when we're seen, we're like, oh, no, turtle, turtle, turtle. And we go into our little huddle and we're like, no, never mind. I don't want to be seen. Yeah, we're like, no, thank you. You know, like the Simpson thing where he like goes in the bushes. That's like how, that's how we feel. And it's like, oh, I never seen out there. Wow, 2 likes, no. Oh, okay, I guess it wasn't good. Or just same thing with the self-tape. You know, and so it's like you just got to trust and enjoy the process. And this process has been strenuous, has full of challenges. And I'm pretty sure you've dealt with that with starting your production company. And maybe we'll have a part 2 in talking about just that business aspect of doing that creativity of going, you know, hey, I had this idea about a production company. How do I start it? What does that encompass? I know it came from something, but, you know, what did that look like? What challenges came up for you and how did you manage that mentally, emotionally, and physically? I'd love to do a part 2 on that. So if you want a part 2, drop it in the comments and say, yes, fuck yeah, we want a part 2. Because then we'll So thank you so much. Janelle, you can close this out.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for joining us and for Amanda as being amazing as always. And we hope that everyone here, you know, picked up those gems that Gina was dropping. And as we're all saying here, we're your community. We're here for you. And don't be afraid to reach out. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye. What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
we'll see you next time.